What's up, cyberspace cadets? Woo! It's Shocktober, bitches. What's happening? It's Irate Prostate in the house tonight, and we got Big Fat Brian. Say hey, bro.
What up, fam? How you guys doing? Oh, it's been a good month this month.
Yeah, and don't forget about the giveaway at the end of the month. Actually,
that's right.
Yeah, when we do Castlevania is when I'll do the giveaway, and that's technically going to be November the 1st. So that's that'll be 3 Thursdays from tonight, and it'll be drawing for a $40 Amazon gift card for anybody that subscribes to the Irate Prostate channel and makes a comment on any one of my videos. So that's all you got to do is hit the sub button, and then go say something, anything on any of my vids. All right, so that's easy, you know. $40 Amazon.
Yeah.
It was 20, but I figured, man, you can't even buy a pack of cigarettes for $20, you know.
You could always leave a nice comment that says how much you like the show.
Yeah, exactly, man. You know, and that would be the ideal thing. But you know, hey, what can you say? Hey. So, exactly. All right, so we're going to get into it. It's been a weird and exciting week, kind of, for this show because I'm not going to talk about one of the things, but there's one of the shows that we did. We wondered why it was doing so good. And yeah, you know, and I found out what that came from, and I'm going to try to like pan that out and then get something that we can talk about more about that specific thing. So I know that you want to keep things as general as possible, but go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Why don't you tell them about the Twitter interaction we had
this week? Last week, it was like it was like about 4 or 5 days ago. I announced that I was going to be doing, we were going to be doing the Creep 2, review for this show, and it got a like by the dude that wrote, produced, and starred in the first one, and that produced, directed, and co-wrote the second one. He also directed the first one. There's a guy named Patrick Bryce, and as a matter of fact, this is what he looks like. Patrick Bryce is currently on your screen. If you're checking him out, that's the guy that wrote.
While we wait for it to pop up, I want to say hello to Ortiz 805. Welcome to the club, buddy, and Adelaide Chaos. It's good to see you.
Hey, what's happening, Adelaide Chaos and Ortiz 805? Hug Enzo for me. Uzi Q says, let him lick you on your hand or some shit. Nothing creepy. Yeah. Boy. So yeah, this dude, that we're looking at is Patrick Bryce. This is the guy that co-wrote actually the Creep 2, produced and directed both movies, Creep 1 and 2. I was looking at it, and to really kind of get a grasp of Creep 2, I decided to watch Creep 1 over again.
I did too.
Just to get some kind of footing as to where I'll be going into this. And that was a smart thing. But I do want to go through the main character in both of these movies is this dude. Okay, I'm going to put his picture up next. All right, it's a guy named Mark Duplass. All right, and
the first one, his name is Joseph.
Yeah, he goes by Joseph in the first one, and the guy that Bryce plays is named Aaron, and in the second one, his name is Aaron. So
he takes the name of his victims.
Right, exactly. So he picks that up. Although technically his name should have been David because of the way it opens up. But I don't want to go through. I got pictures. I think I'm going to start doing this is during this phase before we really get into it, is to kind of show the cast. And so this DESIREE AKHAVAN, I think that's the way you say her name. She plays the main foil. Very interesting face, very photogenic too. The camera really likes this girl. She's very strange and unique looking in her features, but she's very for some reason she's very camera friendly.
Well, you know what I thought was sort of crazy is that she's got a very feminine face, but then the rest is just sort of androgynous, which is Yeah, you know, it works for a lot of different roles.
Well, the deal, yeah, exactly. Because did you notice that Tilda Swinton is playing an old man in God, I can't remember what movie it is, but you know, that kind of thing. So that's pretty helpful, I guess, if you want to kind of. But yeah, she pulls off as a feminine type person. You know, I think she could. If she wanted to, she could be androgynous. But we'll get to, you know, the reasons why we're talking about that in a second.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I want to show this dude off. The Indian dude that's at the very beginning of the film is a guy named KARAN SONI. So and he plays Dave. And for the rest of the movie, Dave's not here. So if you know that joke, and AKHAVAN, her character's name is Sarah. So for the most of the movie, we've got Aaron and Sarah. All right, and I'm fixing to show y'all the original trailer for the film. Okay. I've got permission, and I've got proof that I've got permission. Okay, so y'all just sit tight. All right. Yep.
Before we do that, why don't we just take a $5 and go over the Creep 1 real quick?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, Creep 1 stars the producer and director of Creep 2, and it does a really good job of. Oh, there he is, right there. It does a really good job of getting into the personal feel of how a stalker would feel, and it's you know, if you've ever been stalked by someone, it's very crazy. You know, the weird things they say and do. Like, he sends him a little J+A, which is Joseph and Aaron locket and everything. He sends him a baby wolf with a DVD, and there's just weird, creepy things he does. And, you know, spoiler alert, he kills him in the end with an axe in public next to a lake.
Yeah.
And I thought that the first movie was, you know, it was good. I would say it was probably a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Especially if you've ever experienced that type of thing in real life. Obviously not getting killed.
You know, all right, can I get my impression of this movie for a second? I thought that this was really like two guys like you and me get together and they talk about, let's make a horror film, you know? And there's a lot of, you know, it looks like there's a lot of improv going on. They're trying to make each other laugh. There's a high comic element to it.
Yes.
It's funny as shit. Go ahead.
Well, that's the beautiful part, and why I thought these were so good is because the whole time there are things that are funny, and in most horror movies, it's not going to have comedy in it.
No.
And it's just hilarious. You know, like when he gets the J+A locket and he opens it up and it's got the photos of them inside, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Like, yeah. That's creepy, but also that's kind of funny as fuck.
It's funny as fuck. Well, you know, and I swear to God that Mark Duplass, man, you can't look at this guy and not fucking start laughing, because I mean, he just comes across as just funny as shit, and the way that he like invades people's space, and you know, and it's. I don't know, I took some notes. I said that, you know, he's a real creepy dude, but he's kind of like, what if Stuart Smalley was a serial killer, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Give me a hug.
People like me. Give me a hug. Now I'm going to stab you.
Oh, by the way, I got this dude's head in my cabinet. You know, just
don't worry about it.
Just because it's there. Yeah, ignore that shit when you're getting the jelly.
And I'm just going to say that my favorite part of the first movie was, "Hello, my name is Peach Fuzz." You know, where he puts on the wolf mask and it's scary as shit, but he's all, "I'm a friendly wolf, don't worry about me."
And then he's like rubbing his butt in another scene where he's rubbing his butt against the door and shit.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
The dude is fun. I mean, you can tell he's trying to just they're trying to crack each other up. I mean, even Bryce does this in a big part of, you know, of the first film. You know, that's it's like there's like this little thing that he does, and it's like he disarms you with this humor, right? And it's usually this morbid kind of humor, and then it'll go to like some kind of faggy jump scare, and then it'll be like, oh, deep, and then we'll be deep into some fucking dark shit. And so it's really hard to do that. You know, it's hard to make like if you look at that Scream or Scream 2, you're going to see that balance of humor and horror, right? And a lot of times after that, the Scream wasn't really good at doing that, right? Because what they did was they deconstructed the horror film or the typical American formula of the slasher movie, right? Blah blah blah. What these guys do is they take that and they take it a bit further, and they the humor is funny. And it's almost improv. It's almost like watching like an old, you know, an old improv show, you know, from the 70s or 80s. You know, like good old Saturday Night Live when it was at its best. You know, you got a sketch with these two dudes in it, and they're trying to crack each other up. And but it's also like dark as fuck. It's you know, when it gets dark, it gets creepy. And so, you know, I'm trying to emphasize that you know, that it keeps shifting between these moods. And I think it's difficult to pull that off, especially in today's not atmosphere, but today's horror audience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's very hard. In fact, you might even say that it's almost like a new genre, you know, where it's horror comedy.
Yeah. And it's good, and it's good comedy and good horror, and not like, you know, like wishy-washy version of each, you know, one or the other.
Yeah, you know, if I was going to say something bad in that genre, I would say Clowns from Outer Space. Remember that old movie?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Oh, I recently watched it. It's terrible. It's
yeah, I loved it, man. See, when it came out, it was more all about the look and the attitude. Yeah. I don't know. I love that. See, but see, the difference is that this stuff is really more done on minimalistic. You know, you've got just a person, and a camera, and it's all done through dialogue, and you know, and of course, you know, acting. You know, the physical acting. So you can't rely. They don't rely on special effects. They don't rely on anything else. It's just storytelling, you know, in a really good way. And so I think we're ready to go ahead and show the trailer. If you're down with that,
do it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's going to come up a little late for you, Brian. So I'll give it a chance for you to see that. All right. So I'm gonna cut off the music for a second because the music's kind of gonna mess with that. So we'll do that, and here we go on 3, 2, and.
I'm Sarah. Hey, welcome to Encounters.
Sunday morning.
I'm Sarah.
Oh crap!
Hey, Sarah,
all right, sorry about that. I gotta get rid of the Twitter thing.
Sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
As I told you, man, I'm a fucking retard. All right, here we go again. All right.
Sarah. Hey, welcome to Encounters.
I'm seeing it, but I'm seeing morning over.
Sarah.
Not anymore.
Hey, Sarah.
Okay.
The show where I look behind the strange world of online personal ads. What is their story? Who are these people? So subscribe and join me on this journey. You never know who you might meet next. Hello?
Hello.
Ever since I turned 40, I've lost my inspiration. I have no joy. I'm having a hard time. What am I doing trying to make the films that I used to make? What if I make a documentary? And this is where you come in.
I have no idea what I'm stepping into. Aaron, is that you?
You are inspiring feelings in me. I don't know what to do. Oh my God. This is gonna be a good day. I'm very excited about it. Hey. Sarah?
Sunday morning.
Are you ready to go?
Wow, you're a tough nut to crack.
All right, I want to wait for Brian to catch up with this. But
I'm all caught up.
We're almost there. Okay, you there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the trailer that we had permission for, just to make sure everybody knows. And it was really cool for Patrick Bryce to give us that permission to use that stuff, and we really want to. I don't know. I want to thank him because he's made two really good works of just fucking good fun film. No matter how you slice it, if you're into comedy, you're going to like this, I think. So let's go ahead and talk. I guess get into Creep 2. All right, Brian.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I think that most of the people that are on YouTube can relate to this. The main character is doing the series where she goes around and sort of interviews really creepy people on Craigslist, where they're like male for female, need friend, plutonic relationship, want to be hugged, type of thing.
Right.
And she's interviewing them and posting it on YouTube and getting like 9 hits, which we've all been there before.
I'm still there. What the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's a YouTube show, which is kind of cool. They're aping like the whole YouTube. So this is kind of meta now. We're getting a little meta here because
I know, right?
Right. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, she's going through fucking Craigslist looking for these, these really weird. And I think what she's trying to do is help them come to some kind of breakthrough, like some kind of pseudo psychology shit that she's, kind of nutty herself, thinking that she can fucking cure, people while she's exploiting them. Maybe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think that was probably the director that they had her dressed a certain way and they had her with purple hair. Yeah. So I think that they were trying to portray it that way, like because in the end she's like she's talking about, I want to get to know these people and why they're alone because I'm like them and alone.
Right.
And so it was sort of like her therapy for herself in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And it seemed like that she had definitely been through quite a bit of therapy herself because of just the way that she interacts with Aaron, I guess we're going to call him at this point, throughout the film. So all right, it opens up. She like the very opening of when she comes into the movie is exactly what you just saw. It shows that encounters montage, and then it shows her. You'll never end up. Where you end up, and it goes. She's so it shows her like she looks at a Craigslist ad, and it says something to the effect of.
It says, need videographer, will pay $1,000 for 1 day. Did it say cannot scare? Sorry. Must be a fan of Interview with a Vampire.
Right, and says, and you must like not scare easy or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so she says, I'm interested, and then he says, yeah, let's go deep together. I thought that was kind of like, I think he's like telegraphed everything to these people, right? And so she says, I'm interested, right? He asked, that's right. In a text message, he asked her if she scares easily. She said no. And this is going to be like the final episode of her 10 episode series, or for the first season, I guess, of this Encounters thing, right? And she looks like she may be trying to shop it, at putting together a package. So she wants this one to be the, you know, the best of all, you know, because all the other ones, you know, haven't really gotten to the point of where she wanted it to, you know, to get. So.
Yeah. So I mean, do you think that the intro of this portrayed what the director wanted it to portray? You know, did you get the feeling that she really was alone and sort of just kind of desperate for any sort of contact right off the bat?
No, I thought she was more. In some places, she came off more like she was some kind of, I don't know, some kind of huckster maybe. Now that I think about it, she didn't seem like she was real needy. Seems like she was more wanting to. I don't know. I don't know.
See, I did get that, but I also got like a sense that she was apathetic about things. Like, she didn't really have a whole lot of hope for anything, which is why she right when he gets there, he explains to her that he is a serial killer, and she just went along with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, and she lies to him, right? When they first meet, you know, he goes something to the effect of, you know, I can't remember exactly what she just said, but it was like, let me look. I got it in my notes because she lies to him because he asked her, you know, what she does, and you know, and she doesn't say anything about the encounters thing, right? And he turns around on the other hand, and he tells her straight up who he is. I'm a serial killer. Since I've turned 40, it's just not like what it's been. You know, and see, the movie opens up with him, like, you know, killing another guy. Right, so we get established that firmly this dude really is a serial killer, right? And then it goes to her kind of, you know, reaching out to him in her show. But that's a real short part, that opening scene. But it kind of had echoes with the wolf and things from the first movie. So it would get us locked into the fact that this guy's a serial killer. And so he tells her straight up, yeah, I'm a serial killer. It's not what it used to be. And so, you know, it's like I remember reading about Francis Ford Coppola, and Francis Coppola said, you know, the greatest movie I ever did was The Conversation, which is a fucking excellent film. And he said, you know, it's like something to the effect of, you know, what am I going to do now? And he ends up doing a documentary. And so and he goes, that's what I want to do. You know, I just want to document what I do because I've reached some kind of like wall creatively in my in my serial killing, and so and then he goes upstairs and comes down without a towel and just fucking. You know, I feel that we should know each other on the most basic level, because when a man and a woman get together, the first thing they want to know is, what does that person look like naked, right? So he just takes the towel off. He makes some valid points there, right? So he takes the towel off and he just stands there and poses. The pose is funny as shit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to know if that was like not a prosthetic dick, or because it looked like that was the actor for sure.
No, it was him. I guarantee you. And I think that might have even been like one of those things. Hello, can you hear me?
Say that again, Irate. You cut out for a sec.
Well, shit. I was saying, I kind of think that maybe that was one of those scenes where it was. He was going to be doing one thing, but they tricked the actress, right? And, you know, sitting him down and to drop his, you know, to get naked instead of, you know, being in his underwear or something like that. I don't know. It just seemed like that there was supposed to be some kind of switcheroo improv thing. And it was supposed to get a, you know, what kind of reaction can we really get out of these people?
Well, I love the fact that she doubled down on it.
Well, yeah, and she goes to him, and she goes, oh, hold on. And she goes up to him naked and gives him the camera and says, okay, it's my turn. And she strips down to her clothes. You know, she completely takes her clothes off, right? And it kind of focuses mostly on her face. But, you know, we see her naked for a little bit, you know, and she's, you know, definitely got a younger body. And, you know, she doesn't have fake breasts and stuff. And that's kind of a, you know, a refreshing thing.
Well, or breast. But,
I can't. Well, I don't like.
Did you see the other part though? Did you see the other part? You know what part I'm talking about?
What part?
The armpit hair.
Oh, dude, yeah. She's like, got that. Well, no, that's part of her character.
That is part of her character. Right. I thought that was a great job.
Yeah, that's right, man. And see, that didn't surprise me at all.
No. But that was attention to detail. I'm assuming normally she probably shaves her armpits, but she had the purple hair and then no shaved armpits and everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, that drives home the point.
No doubt.
Yeah. The other thing, before we go too far, I wanted to make so the Francis Ford Coppola thing, right? That he talks about, where he's talking about making the perfect movie. Throughout this entire thing, there's nods to Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, the Coppola wine, and I thought that was interesting.
The spaceman quote.
Yeah. Repeat that, because I can't remember it perfectly.
The year was 1960, and
1978.
1978. Sorry, I don't have it.
It was the dying days of disco. The Cold War.
Yes.
The Cold War was at its height. Blah blah blah, and then it kept getting interrupted by airplanes and birds and shit, and it was funny as hell, man. Because it's like. That happens when you make film, making a movie, man, is that shit fucks a scene up and you have to, and after a while it gets like, this is the 30th time, I've been...
Take 43.
Exactly.
And the other thing, the interview with a vampire quote right in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever read or seen Interview with a Vampire?
Well, it's right. It's a person that it's a journalist that goes in an interview and he realizes at some point that the guy really is a vampire, and it's kind of like what's happening here, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is a giant metaphor for that movie / book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's at one point in the movie he says, I've never felt this way before. I'm giving you a choice, right? And that's the classic line right in the beginning of Interview with a Vampire. I'm giving you the choice that I never had.
Right.
Yeah, And then he goes into the whole backstory of the character, the serial killer character.
And do you believe his story?
I don't know. Who knows? You can't believe anything he said. He's sitting there. I loved in this one where he sort of tried to play a completely different character than he did in the last one. The last one, he's like, or Creep 1, he's like, I was lying, but, I'm sorry, I'm telling you the truth now. And in this one, I never lie. I've never lied once. I only tell you the truth. I thought that dichotomy was beautiful.
It was, yeah, and of course, he's telling her that this great story. He's like listening to this solo from this jam band over and over again, and she stops it, and he goes, no, that song, that, and he tells her earlier in the movie that Sarah is her name is the name of one of his favorite songs, or his favorite song, right? And he says some of the effect of, this jam band was playing in this song, and it was called Sarah Loves Her Juicy Fruit. Right? And so after that gig, he goes and hangs out with the band, but he needs a ride home, so he gets it from this guy, and the guy tries to kill him in the forest, right? Because the guy's a serial killer. But he turns it around on the dude and flips the script and kills him. And that was his first killing experience. So is that real, or is that not?
Who knows? You have no way of knowing. You have absolutely no way of knowing whether or not that's real. Because He's just telling the story, and he, like I said, the first movie, he lied like crazy. In the second movie, he's literally lying to her when he tells him her name, or it tells her his name, you know?
Right.
As he's saying, I don't lie.
Sarah does not love her juicy fruit.
No.
Thanks,
no,
Hannibal. That's excellent, isn't it, man? Oh, man. So, all right. So, where do we go from here? Let's see.
I think we should talk about her freak out scene where she starts to realize that she might actually be a serial killer.
Well, I think the scene, the whole atmosphere of the movie changes, and his attitude towards her, because remember, he tells her that he won't kill her in the next 24 hours, that, you know, he's got this deal, and, you know, he's going to stick to it, right?
Yeah.
And then she mentions that back to him, and he said, why did you say that? Like, all right, and then later on, she scares the shit out of him, because he goes up to her, like, while she's in the shower, and she has this fucked up, like, not masking tape, it's just like regular old clear tape on her face, where her nose is pulled up. She looks all twisted and shit, and like she's waiting for him, and he opens the curtain, and she screams at his face, and it scares the shit out of him. And then when that happens, he kind of gets darker, and his attitude towards her is a little bit more like, man, you know, he gets serious.
We need to preface this, because the whole point, the whole premise for her being here and him not killing her and everything was that basically he feels like killing people is no longer fun. He feels like it's a job,
right?
And it was almost comedic in the intro of the movie, where he stabs that guy. What was his name? Caleb something?
No, Dave, because Dave's not here.
Yeah. Oh right, yeah, right. Dave's not here. He stabs Dave, and he's just like, ugh. Like it was a chore.
He slices his throat, and the dude like falls down on the table there, and he just leans on him on the table and just like, and shakes his head no, and then takes a drink of his beer, and he looks at the dude, and then takes another drink of his beer. It's like, you know, this is the thrill is gone. The thrill is gone, baby. It's just, you know, and he had just talked to him about, you know, being in some kind of midlife crisis, you know. I thought that was just funny as shit. This dude has got great comedic timing. Apparently, he and his brother do this show on HBO called Room 104, and it's it's not a montage. What do they call it? Where what it is that this room in this hotel. So there's room 104 in this hotel, and it is different things that take place in that room over time. Like, you know, one episode's in the 50s, one episode's now. You know, the next episode's in the 70s. You know, so it jumps back and forth through time with these different stories of these different people. So, and it's got a lot of high reviews, but apparently, you know, it's not. You know, the people that watch it, you know, aren't you know, it doesn't have a big audience
following.
Yeah.
You know, I've often thought that HBO needs to like couple with Amazon or Netflix, you know, and do what all the other big stations do, which is where they release a season later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of HBO shows out there that are really, really good, like Leftovers. But
well, yeah, but they've doubled down on their fucking little app.
I know. It's not. I mean, they don't produce enough content to make it worth it.
Right, well, exactly. That's the point, man. I mean, you can go on Netflix, and I mean, you've literally got maybe 1,000 fucking different kinds of movies to choose from, whereas they might have 400 or 500. I mean, they don't. I think there's more than 1,000. I'm sure. I have no idea how many fucking, you know, videos, movies they have access to. It's ridiculous. The Netflix compared to HBO. If HBO like had content on every one of their different channels, because they've got like 20 channels, but most of them repeat, you know, their main channel.
Godbother1 in the chat. HBO is full of social engineering, cultural Marxists.
That's most of fucking Hollywood, man. Now,
yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty much every app. What are you talking about?
No shit, dude. But yeah, I feel you, man. You know, you got a point. All right, so we're
back to our story here.
Back to our story.
Why? So at this point, basically, this is, you know, the 24 hours is sort of up, and they start going on this trail after he tells her he's never been kissed before, and that he's, you know, he's never been with a woman, and all of that. And so she kisses him, and he's like, I want to show you something special. Why don't we go out on this trail? And it's the next day. Or wait, is it the next day, or is it at the end of the 24 hours? Because it was nighttime, right?
It was nighttime. It
had to have been, yeah, it had to have been at the end of the 24 hours. And he takes her out on this trail.
No, I don't think it was, because I think he was just like, fuck that, you know. I think when she scared him, I think that crossed the line for him. There was a point where she broke the rules, maybe by saying the 24-hour thing, right?
Well, yeah, because
it was still dark. You know, it was still dark, and and so he takes her out of the woods,
and you know, they're walking in the dark. They can't really see anything. And they come across this hole that he's dug, that he dug prior to her even showing up. That was essentially either meant for. I'm assuming that originally he meant it for her.
well, yeah, and it goes back to that story that he told her about the guy that supposedly was going to kill him. You know, he made him dig a hole for himself. You know, and so.
I'm sorry, Irate. I forgot the part prior to this, which would explain everything.
Yeah, where he hangs himself.
Yeah, where he's trying to get her to kill him.
Right, because he said that's what's going to make all this shit different. That's why I'm in this fucking this dry spell, man. Because it's like it needs to change, and the only way it can change is if you kill me. You know, not if I kill you. And she says, no, this is when she starts getting like, she's backing out of this shit, right?
Yeah.
And so he ends up, you know, he ends up jumping off with the rope and hanging himself. And she just freaks out. And she says, fuck this. And she's getting out. She's fixing to leave, right? And so he tells her, look, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah. Look here. And he shows her the harness that he used to fake the hanging.
Even though I'm pretty sure he didn't use that.
I don't know. You know, it's like you don't know what's coming out of this dude's mouth if it's true or not. You know, that's what's so good about it.
But that's the thing, is that at that point, after he scared her, I know you think that he crossed the line. I personally feel like he actually did fall in love with her.
Maybe.
Because the next part, you know, I really think that he was trying to get her to kill him. Like, definitely wanted that to happen. Sort of like he was going to transfer his power to her. Because he goes over all the spiritual energy and everything, right?
Right.
Where, you know, you consume a part of my spirit or I consumed a part of that guy's spirit, and you can consume a part of mine, and it was really crazy.
Yeah.
And so back to where we had skipped ahead, the walk into the forest with the ditch.
So yeah, he pulls out. When he falls on her, he grabs her knife out of her boot. She's kept the knife in her boot the whole time, right? And so he stabs himself. And there's a place of fat that's between your ribs and your hips, right? On each side, right? If you're healthy and not too obese, right? Actually, if you're obese, you got more of the fat.
Yeah, but, I got a lot of that.
But I pointed this out to Uzi Q one night. It's like, if you'll notice that on TV shows, you know, whenever anybody gets hit by an arrow or a bullet or something, it's always in that place on the other, you know, on the side opposite of the liver, Whereas he stabs himself near the liver, okay? Which I thought was interesting. But I call that the magic spot, because everybody gets shot or stabbed or whatever there, they end up living. And they make it through. They're going to make it through. So through and through, blah blah blah. And so he stabs himself on that side, which you can do without even nicking the liver. But anyway, so he's bleeding and shit, and she just runs away. She freaks out. I'm not doing this shit, right? And he goes and tackles her, and you can't tell because it's in the distance what he's doing to her, but there's like pounding. It sounds like he's beating the shit out of her to me. What about you?
Yeah. Well, he definitely wasn't really stabbing her. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because he gave her the knife. Like, he's like, here, you finish it. Where are you going?
Because now you've got to kill yourself, and we're going to die together like Romeo and Juliet.
So it sounded like he beat her up, and then he dragged her back to the hole, right?
Yeah, but man, it's like, see, that's what I think. He was he's one of those guys that's like, he wasn't planning on dying to begin with. It was all bullshit, It's just like that whole. He gets off on like killing people, man. Why would he give that up? It's such a rush, right? And so he makes sure she's dead, and then he climbs out and he goes, you know what? I don't think I'm going to die today.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to die. And while he's like talking to the camera, right, telling the story, what happens?
What happens? He crawls out of the hole and goes, I don't think I'm going to die.
Right. And go ahead. Keep going.
You might have to explain this part, because I am not really remembering it all that well at the very end here.
All right, so at the very end, he's, like talking this speech like we could have been souls and soulmates and blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
And she crawls out, and it shows her crawling out of the grave, right? So she gets out of the grave, and she just clocks him with the shovel. And so it looks like she's killed him, and she just runs off, and that's the end of the movie. And then it opens up in the city, and we see these different shots of the girl, like trying to blend in with everybody. Like she may be trying to start just a new part. Her hair's different; it's curly.
Yeah.
She's wearing different makeup, different kind of clothing and stuff. And at some part during the movie, of both movies actually, he whistles this little song, and I think it's from Peter and the Wolf. Isn't that from Peter and the Wolf?
No, that's hi, my name is Peach Fuzz. It might be from Peter and the Wolf.
I thought that's what I recognized it from, but yeah, it's definitely he had put those lyrics with it from the Peach Fuzz song. That was funny as shit. But he starts whistling that, and she's kind of grins because she kind of recognizes it at first. She's real subtle in her facial expression. And then you can tell she makes eye contact with the guy. And then as soon as she does, her expression kind of, you can see the blood running out of her face.
Sours.
And then boom, it drops down, the camera drops, and that's it. And it goes black, and it shows the credits, and that's it. And that's the end of the film. And it makes me go, okay, I'm ready for Creep 3, which is in the process of it looks like they're trying to get financing complete for that, and they're supposed to begin shooting within the next 6 months. So
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, honestly. Man, me too. It's just really good stuff. It's unique because I think that if they keep it minimalist and shit, and they don't fucking fuck it up with effects and and big actors and stuff. They keep with the Mark DUPLASS, whatever his name is, DUPLASS. The dude is a really, really good actor, and he's fucking funny as hell. And he's also, can just pull that character off perfectly, man.
Yeah, it's a little too perfect, like, hey, wait a second, do you do this on a regular basis?
Exactly. Like, it's like, dude, this dude could actually be a serial killer, for fuck's sake,
Right.
which is what I love about it, man. I really like the actor because I've seen him in other shit, you know, in bit parts and stuff, you know, so you know, you recognize that's what I like, man. Is a good movie where you know you kind of recognize the actors, but you don't recognize exactly where they're from. They're not big and famous yet, and so there's that that veil of probability that maybe you're looking at something real here, you know.
Yeah.
You know, because you know it's like a lot of times my brain goes to, oh yeah, that's that fucker on Game of Thrones, or that's this person or that person, you know, and I'm too, you know, that disbelief is not there for me. It kind of fucks all that shit up.
Well, I guess I've actually seen the DUPLASS in the Final Fantasy football show that he was on, the League or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen him in that, but he plays such a different character in this that it's like he was a 10 out of 10 actor in both of them. There's no way that anyone could argue against that because he is completely different than he is in anything else I've seen him in.
Well, you know what's interesting is that he says that in the first series. It's like, you know, I even thought of becoming, because I never knew who I was. I was always lying to people. I never, you know, felt right anywhere. And I even thought about becoming an actor because they lie all the time. That's what they do for a living. And I even sucked at that, man. I didn't even feel right doing that. But I feel real when I do this, when I kill people. Yeah. So it was like definitely a kick in the balls to all actors and shit. I really kind of like that, man. I
think it was more so a mockery of his own acting.
Yeah. You know? No. Yeah, exactly, man. If that's that, you know, they're off. Obviously, you can tell from that first movie they're just busting each other's balls left and right, man. You know, definitely. And that's what I was saying is like these dudes they're like kind of like us, man. You know, it's like if you and I got sat down and we live near each other and we said, okay, let's just make a fucking movie and see what happens. I would always be trying to fuck with you, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'd be fucking with you left and right.
Exactly, man. Because that's that's what guys that hang out, man. We do that shit, right? And it's just, you can just tell that's what's happening there, man. Because it's like the way he says something. And I read in the fucking the Wikipedia on it in the interview that DUPLASS and BRICE both said that there were, for each scene. Now think about how many scenes were in that first movie. There were 10 to 12 permutations of each scene in the movie.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he said, and obviously there's like a cutting reel where you can almost make a complete movie out of the shit that they cut out, right? Yeah. That might be a reason for me to actually invest and buy the fucking DVD. Or Blu-ray, whatever it is. That's got all that shit on it because it's excellent, man. This is top-notch fun. That's what good horror is, man. It's supposed to be fun. Any good movie,
fun and scary, of course, but
scary's fun as fuck to me, man.
Well, yeah, of course. Otherwise, we wouldn't be watching them, but. But I think though that they really the name of the actual show, Creep, right, is almost all encompassing. It's so dead on.
Well, you know what they were originally going to name the first movie?
What was it?
Peach Fuzz.
Oh, I would have never watched that.
See, right? No, it was the distribution company made them change it. They said nobody will watch that.
Did.
Well, yeah, exactly. But in Creep, you're absolutely right, man. It's all encompassing. It kind of you get the creeps. He's kind of creepy, and then he's a creep.
Yeah,
for real. So yeah.
So what did you for Creep 2, how would you rate this?
Well, all right, and we really didn't get into the whole cat and mouse aspect of it. It reminded me a lot of this movie called Sleuth with Michael Caine and Sir Laurence Olivier from the 70s, which is this really great cat and mouse, and it's serious, right? But this is kind of like a love letter to that. I could say, you know, that I guarantee you one of those guys has seen that movie, because there's just there's a lot of parallels just in the way that they interact with each other. But yeah, so I fucking give this movie, the second one, there's enough different in it to where you can't say this is exactly like the first one. You know, that they changed up the rhythm, they kind of, you know, switched it up. You know, adding a female protagonist. Actually, I think the killer is really the protagonist here. I think that she's the antagonist. But having a female in that role, you know, that's the basic, you know, difference in the whole thing. But what really sells it is the fact that, you know, she is her internal dialogue where she keeps, you know, thinking, man, I need to quit, but she keeps pushing on because she's got to get those subs, man. You know? Yep. Yeah. That's true. Like, and you know what I want to say? All my subs are fantastic. I love my subs. You know, and that's, you know, this whole YouTube game is about subs. I don't care what anybody says. And I'll say that right here and be honest. I'm not going to bullshit you. You know, but you know, so it's her dedication to give her subs, you know, the best that she can, that keeps her in the game. It ends up getting her killed. So I give this film at least a solid 8.3, 8.5. It's not perfect. I would give the first one a higher grade just because it was so funny. Just a perfect blend of comedy horror.
Personally, I give this film a 9 out of 10. I think it was pretty good. I think that everything that the first one was missing, they put into the second one. It's like somebody looked at it and said, okay, well, we did a pretty good job on the first one, and the second one, maybe we could do this, this, and this, and get that right, and make it feel a little bit creepier, you know?
Right.
The whole, like you said, we didn't go over the cat and mouse aspect, but both the cat and mouse aspect and the interview with a vampire are the same.
Right.
So you did get the feel of, yeah, this person is really trying to sort of manipulate the situation so the other person feels comfortable, but then every couple of seconds their actual personality comes out and sort of screws it up. Exactly. You know, it was great. 9 out of 10 is what I'm giving this one. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I would recommend this to a friend.
And you don't have to go anywhere. It's available on Netflix right now. Both movies, the first and second one. So, and
Creep 3 is coming out on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, actually, this second movie was a partner with Netflix. They you know, I think Netflix, like year before last, like saw a lot of you know, indie, really good indie stuff, and they wanted to pair up with those directors. Wingard was one of them too, but they at least they let Bryce stay with his own material, because they gave Wingard the fucking Death Note garbage. Yeah, disaster.
So what are we doing next week?
Next week we are going to look at, because it's true crime that actually happened, the movie 22 July, which is about Anders Breivik and the most violent mass murder with assault weapons in Europe since World War II.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
you know what I'm looking for? There's two things I'm looking for when we watch this movie. I'm looking for accuracy of the actual crime, and I want to see that political aspect. I really hope that they do something, because the camp was politically like a left-leaning camp.
Right. They were socialism light. And
yeah, it was like if you had a young
the killer's
Democrat.
a Nazi. And the killer was an actual Nazi.
Yes, he was a legitimate, not very far right. When I think far right extremist,
Yes.
you can
This guy's
by far
perfect example.
definition.
Right.
You know. So I really hope that they put the political aspect in there. I'm hoping that they don't just focus on like one little, like, oh, by the way, he was a Nazi. Like, I hope they don't do that.
No shit. No, I don't think they will. If anything, I think they would focus more on that and not as much on what the kids were, I think that they'll go light on that. That's just my gut. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Based on what I've seen on Netflix, that's just good, normal, correct thinking. And so, anyway, remember everybody, if you subscribe and you make a comment on this video, you qualify in 4 weeks for the drawing. And Big Fat Brian, and your boy Pat and Big Fat Brian and I will be going over Castlevania November the 1st, and that's the night we'll make the drawing. So,
yeah, brother.
That's right. For Amazon, $40 gift card. So just remember that. Any videos and make sure that you're a subscriber and make a comment, even if it's a screw you, that counts. So, but we'd prefer something like wow, that was fantastic, do more like this kind of thing.
Yeah, please don't talk to me about how fat I am anymore. It hurts my feeling, guys. I don't have a neck, okay?
I eat because of my feelings, and my feelings are because I eat. Something like that. Anyway, everybody, that's pretty much it for the show. Tomorrow night, Cream Stream 58. We got. It looks like we're going to have Sofane in the house, along with the Killing Joke, Tim of the Hun, and Trippy Poop, and myself. So get your sideways shit news going on that way. Let's see, Sunday I will be interviewing again my Bubba, Big Fat Brian here. I'm going to ask him those questions that really need to be asked. Like, what does he use? Well, anyway, I'm not going to go there. Some secrets.
The shoehorn. Shoehorn is the answer.
You knew where I was going with that, didn't you, man? God damn.
I did.
We've been hanging around each other a long time. And Irate Monday, of course, we're going to talk about the news that nobody else is talking about that need to. Anyway, so with that in the bucket, we're going to say it was fun, everybody.
I'm Sarah. Hey, welcome to Encounters.
Sunday morning.
I'm Sarah.
Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
The show where I look behind the strange world of online personal ads. What is their story? Who are these people? So subscribe and join me on this journey. You never know who you might meet next. Hello? Hello?
Ever since I turned 40, I've lost my inspiration. I have no joy. I'm having a hard time. What am I doing trying to make the films that I used to make? What if I make a documentary? And this is where you come in.
I have no idea what I'm stepping into. Aaron, is that you?
You are inspiring feelings in me. I don't know what to do. Oh my God. This is gonna be a good day.
I'm very excited about it. Hey, Sarah?
Sunday morning.
Are you ready to go?
Wow, you're a tough nut to crack.